Now, this leads to another question is that when you look at yoga in the West, mostly it is associated with exercise,
Hmm.
and people think that and you see the signs, the people you are driving by and seeing the studio, people are doing the exercises and all, and different asanas and poses and like that. So in the Western, the yoga has been somehow branded more like a physical exercise and twisting bodies in different positions and all this stuff. How you look at yoga and how you compare, what is the relationship between yoga and meditation?
So it depends on what school I go to, and I try to go to almost every school because Gyan Yoga, Hatha Yoga, Kundalini
So let
Yoga,
us for a minute forget about all these schools.
Okay,
If you just go to the basic,
okay,
where everything starts,
okay.
what is meditation?
Hmm.
What is yoga? Is
Hmm.
meditation is part of yoga, or is the asanas, or is yoga is part of what is? Let's go back to the basic thing.
Okay,
And when all these schools didn't exist, there was the only thing at that time was their yoga.
right. So when Patanjali put all this together, the yoga prescription, the sutras, the yoga sutras, so meditation and samadhi is the ultimate goal.
Sure.
Asanas is just one of the components, one of the small pieces out of the 8 steps which makes yoga.
Sure.
And somehow in the modern world, asanas have become
The
synonymous to yoga.
yoga, sure.
Uh, but things are shifting as we know that even if you pick one component of yoga, whether you pick up one yam,
Sure.
like satya,
Sure.
ahimsa, right?
Sure.
You pick one universal value and make it your guiding principle in your life will grow from there. So I think people who have picked up asana as a practice or meditation as a practice, they are exploring everything else around it as well.
Mm.
Scientifically, I think the goal of yoga is to illuminate the brain. So when we talk about samadhi, nirvana, kundalini awakening, Bhagwan ke darshan ho jaye,
Mhm.
right? Self-actualization. So when we talk about enlightenment,
Mhm.
whatever different paths or names we call it, it's about awakening of the dormant parts of the brain.
Mhm.
So scientifically, we know only 10-15% brain is working,
Mhm.
remaining is dormant.
Sure.
So all these practices lead towards our awakening as a human being, our real human potential.
Now, what has been the biggest attraction to the Western audience or to the American audience about yoga? What they have find really fascinating in that yoga?
I think everything.
Mhm.
So different people went to different schools of yoga in India, and whatever they saw, or not only saw or studied, experienced it. So when you experience yoga, you say, "Wow!" So we can talk about it for an hour, but unless we can talk about, say, chocolate,
Mhm.
but unless you put it in your mouth, you're not gonna know what it is.
Mhm.
So whether people went into meditation, whether they followed Kriya Yoga by Paramahansa Yogananda, or they followed Iyengar Yoga, physical parts of the yoga, or they went into transcendental meditation or mindfulness meditation. So whatever people picked, I think they fell in love. And if they did not like it, there were other avenues for them, other parts of yoga.
So, have you ever studied some sort of a history of growth of yoga in the U.S.? So it fascinates me that that how it started here, and when was the first person, American person, oh, you know what, I'm going to learn yoga. Do you have any type of historical?
Well, I
Uh,
had to study that. History is not my
Not your.
favorite subject, but I studied that.
Hmm.
Again, it's fascinating how it comes.
Sure.
And even now, as a pharmacist, as a scientist minded person, very intellectual, it amazes me how yogis were so intelligent. How did they know 8,000, 10,000 years back that what is happening inside and outside us?
Mhm.
Who are we? What is our purpose? So I think everybody knows Swami Vivekananda was the first yogi to come from India.
Sure.
Fast forward, 2 people in India who never came to the West, never traveled outside India, but they influenced the modern yogis. One was Swami Shivananda. He
Mhm.
was a medical doctor himself,
Mhm.
and he was from South India, but he lived in
In
Rishikesh.
the Rishikesh, yeah.
So he influenced a lot of
Mhm.
his disciples
Mhm.
who brought yoga to the West.
Mhm.
And second was T. Krishnamachari.
Mhm.
So his students also brought like Iyengar, Patabi Joyce, um, Gita, I forgot his last name, Desikachar.
Mhm.
So these people brought the physical part of yoga
Mhm.
and made it really popular in the West. Swami Shivananda's followers were Swami Sachidanand, who
Mhm.
started integral yoga, and now his disciples are spread around as well. So they brought more of the Vedanta philosophy, what Swami Shivananda talked about.
Mhm.
So it's very interesting. Swami Satyananda Saraswati from Bihar school, he has brought it to the West in a big way.
Has any this hippie movement and all those things had to do anything with yoga or Ravi Shankar and all?
Probably did. I don't really know too much, but a lot of yogis, when they came to America, they came around 50s, 60s,
The
70s.
60s, yeah.
The major influx was at that time. Prabhupada came at that time, with ISKCON,
Mhm.
International
Sure.
Society for Krishna Consciousness. We had Swami Sachidanand came, Swami Rama came around the same time. So a lot of yogis came here. I don't know if they had the agenda of promoting yoga at that time as such, but they came with their own, mission, and they were very successful.
So now talking about few things specific about yoga. So let's take asanas for example. So in what are about say 4 or 5 real benefits of doing simple asanas which common people can do?
Hmm. When you talk about asanas, according to Goraksh Samhita,
Mhm.
there are 84 lakhs, so 8.4 million postures.
8.4 million.
84 lakhs.
Okay.
Okay. Uh, the newer Samhita, like Goraksh Samhita, would say out of 84 lakhs, only 84 are main.
Mm.
And I forgot the name of the Samhita. I think it's part of the Goraksh Samhita. It says out of 84, 32 are for mortals. So people like us who live in the modern world, 32 are the ones which we are supposed to do. And some literature will say only 2 are main.
Mm.
Some will say 4 are main. So if you look at all those postures, we are looking at Padmasana and Siddhasana being the, on the top. And when we know the goal of yoga is enlightenment or awakening of all the channels of the brain which are still sleeping, then we need to have a firm posture.
Mm.
So that makes Siddhasana or Padmasana as the lead postures. And all other postures are supposed to support
So
the
is there any way
Padmasana.
you can how will be the Padmasana like? Can you demonstrate or maybe later on we can
Okay.
or let's try if you can do it
Well,
here.
it's simple. Right here, it's called lotus pose in English.
Okay.
And you put one leg over the other.
Okay.
So you can just sit straight. The advantage, like physically, if you see this,
Mhm.
when I'm doing meditation, the first side effect of meditation is sleep.
Mm.
So I'll droop here, I'll droop there. So I can do sitting on the couch. It's not that my meditation is going to be better if I'm sitting.
So this pose even you can do on couch or wherever
you can do wherever you want.
Okay.
But if I'm sitting on the floor with straight spine, okay, what is happening is, first of all, my body is not going to go back forth. So I'm not going to droop, fall down. The second thing is happening is my lung capacity is better. So diaphragm actually gets expanded if your knees are apart.
Mm.
So if I'm sitting with my knees together and I try to take a deep breath, I'll notice that my breath is not as deep as compared to if I open my feet wide. So they're very, very scientifically designed postures.
So this is called Padmasana, right?
This is Padmasana.
And what is the other one you said?
Siddhasana.
Siddhasana, how is that?
Siddhasana is accomplished pose. In that also you can lock your body. So you kind of press the lower part of your body, which is the perineal region. We call it Muladhara. Okay, and then you put the other leg on top. It's hard to do in the couch.
Okay, sure, yeah.
But then you put your legs in between. So
Okay.
the feet are stuck between the feet, but it's such a firm posture, your body will not move once you accomplish that.
Okay. What about, you mentioned about breathing. How important is the breathing?
Well, breathing, I think, is the most important thing because it's nothing to say against our friends who are nutritionists and dietitians,
Okay.
but we spend billions of dollars about food.
Sure.
This is good, this is not good. We demonize the fats, proteins, or proteins are worshipped actually, but we demonize the carbs and fats. We have lost what is the real balance. But anyway, food we'll talk about it later. We'll let our experts talk about that.
Yeah.
But we can survive without food for many days. How about breath?
Yeah, you cannot. Sure.
Not even few minutes.
Sure.
So if we do not optimize the breath, if we really want to enhance our life, I think we need to work with the breath more than we work with our body or the food first. I'm not saying don't work with the food,
Sure.
but importance-wise.
Sure.
Okay. Disease perspective, everything is psychosomatic. When I try to find out what is causing a particular disease, all the time, and I'm not saying that, it's amongst thousands of people I've shared yoga with, that is their answer. What caused the cancer? Okay, when we go deep down, it's all about stress.
Yeah. It's very interesting what you were saying is if you, I was reading, I'm a big fan of Yoga Vasist, so Yoga Vasist, whenever it was written, thousands of years ago, there I was surprised to read, they talk about the bodily disease, and they were also talked about mental disease. They categorize these two diseases, mental and bodily, and they're saying that mental disease leads to the bodily disease, and bodily disease leads to the mental disease. Think about that time.
Absolutely.
So I want to bring back again to the breathing. So what is, with your experience in yoga and postures, what is the best position to sit down and just breathe? How should we breathe?
I think we should breathe 24/7.
Of course, yes. I mean, how we can be more efficient in breathing.
Right. To optimize the breath,
yes.
We want to use not just the top part of the lungs, we want to use the diaphragm as well. Okay, and as I said, if you keep the knees open.
Well, what I'm doing, look at this.
Right.
I have to open it right now. Okay.
So that helps in optimizing that. And there are many, many pieces of that, like how even heart rate variability from the cardiologist point of view, how that improves. The variability is higher, the heart health is better by just doing some of the breathing practices. So we can change the EEG just by doing, did I say EEG? EKG, sorry.
EKG, yeah.
Not EEG, of course, we will change that, but EKG also we can change just within a minute of some yoga practices. And those breathing practices we have, they can do two main functions. One is they can energize us and they can relax us. So when I teach yoga, and if I'm doing a 10-hour workshop, for example, people will say, how can it be? It'll be either very tiring for me, right? It cannot be energizing, or it'll be very stressing for me. I'll be tired when I go home. But when I do these sessions, people say, wow, this is really true. That's the difference between regular exercise and yoga, that it will energize you and it will also relax you.
So can you teach us like one breathing exercise right now? I think you can do that in sofa too, right?
Right, we can do anything we can do sitting, standing, and actually the kind of yoga I do is not even mat based.
Okay.
We do it freestyle, standing, because this is how yogis did it. But it depends like what we are really doing, like what we want to accomplish. Say balance. So we have alternate nostril breathing.
Okay.
Nadi Shodhan pranayama. So most of us in the healthcare system, we don't even know that we breathe only through one nostril majority of our life.
I thought we do one at a time.
We do only one at a time, but medical science does not know yes or no, doesn't talk about that, and they don't know what is the effect of that. And yogis have volumes written on this. So right nostril has different benefit on the body, and left nostril has different effect. When I'm saying body, I'm also talking about the brain and the mind as well. So there's a practice called alternate nostril breathing, or anulom vilom, in which we breathe through one nostril, exhale through the other, inhale through other, and exhale through the first one. So when you do that, it balances both the hemispheres of the brain. So the right nostril actually stimulates the left hemisphere of the brain, and left nostril stimulates the right side of the brain. And
this is something to do with pranayama, right?
This is part of the pranayama.
Pranayama is also a very important exercise in yoga and meditation too, right?
So that's a stage 4. When we talk about Patanjali yoga, the Raja yoga, Yam Niyam come first, their code of conducts. Then comes asana. Asana is the posture, which is very popular.
Sure.
Then comes pranayama,
which has become yoga actually.
It is yoga.
Yeah, sure.
Even Indians, when they approach me for yoga therapy sessions, they'll say, I want to do yoga with you, and they just want the postures, unfortunately. But I work mostly with the psychosomatic piece of it, which is amazing results, with depression, anxiety, insomnia, hypertension, even Parkinson's disease kind of situation where medicines have been cut or eliminated. But anyway, so these four, Yam, Niyam, Asana, Pranayam, they're called external part of the yoga. Then we start to go internal. So Pratyahar, Dharana, Dhyan, and Samadhi,
Sure.
that's our own inner journey. So you start to withdraw yourself. Then the real power of yoga starts.
Yeah, excellent. No, we have also seen a trend here in the U.S. and also in many parts of the world that many patients who are suffering from serious diseases like cancer, for example, they are also turning towards yoga. Have you come across that trend and what you guys have been doing as a yoga cap in that area? And especially if you mix that, your answer with your experience as a pharmacist. So just elaborate with the disease and the yoga. What are the risks and rewards with yoga?
Well, this has been our flagship program working with cancer patients. So about 8 years back, we started a small series, 8-week series at one of the places in Manchester.
Manchester, New Hampshire.
Manchester, New Hampshire. So we had 8 women with breast cancer who came to the class, though it was open for everybody with cancer. And we had a small grant actually to do that. Results were so amazing. I learned personally so much about cancer by teaching that class.
And how often that class was?
That was once a week.
Once a week.
For 8 weeks.
Okay. And how many hours?
1 hour.
1 hour, okay.
So it was just transformational for me and also for the participants, because I learned how yoga physically, mentally, spiritually, emotionally, financially, everything falls apart for the person. And trying to put the pieces together, as one of my students said, we go from life A to life B when the cancer diagnosis happens. Life is completely different, and nobody really understands how that is. And after survivorship, when you get into the survivorship, everything seems normal. You can never go back to point A. So that's really sad, because then you have to find your own new part of life, because life is never normal. You live with the fear of cancer coming back all the time. So when we did that, results were good. People felt happy. Their stress level went down. Their depression, anxiety got lowered. The blood pressure started to go down. We have not stopped since then. And in fact, for 1 year we did with Franco-American Center, with A-Market Natural Food Store in Manchester, and eventually we got invited by Elliott Hospital. And now we do work with Elliott Hospital in 2 locations. We also work with Dana-Farber in Londonderry in New Hampshire. We work with top 5 hospitals in New Hampshire, where we provide Monday through Friday 1 class every day, free of charge. It includes patients who had experience of cancer, who are going through cancer right now, and we let the caregiver come along. Sometimes cancer patients can't even drive themselves, or don't feel like driving when it's dark. So they're all at different timings.
And how many people generally come in each class?
It varies from class to class. I think our Londonderry Dana-Farber class, we have 20 plus people, so room is jam-packed. But we keep the format very open. So some people don't feel like coming, they're fatigued because of chemotherapy, so they skip the class, for example, and somebody else will come in. So it's always, we have enough room for everybody when they come to the classes.
So, earlier you were talking about, off the camera, about certain risks involved with yoga with certain type of diseases. So can you elaborate on that?
Well, the biggest one which we have seen, let's talk about cancer first.
Okay.
Many women, when they go through surgery for cancer treatment, they develop lymphedema. They, depending on how extensive the surgery is, the lymph nodes get removed. So lymph can actually spread, in the whole arm. And when it gets solidified, it is a huge health risk. If those people go into a regular yoga studio, and unfortunately we met a couple of them in our classes, they went to a regular yoga studio, and most regular yoga studios will teach asana-based class, which includes a lot of sun salutations, Surya Namaskar. And if you're doing all those chadrangas and downward dogs and all those things, you're putting a lot of pressure on the arms that can be hugely, risky for the patient. So that's what we found when we have any disease condition, when somebody is going through any diagnosis, whether it is high blood pressure or anxiety, depression, particularly cancer, extensive surgery, at that time be careful if you're going to a regular yoga studio, because most regular yoga teachers are not trained to teach therapeutic yoga classes. So what we really specialize in yoga caps is working with therapeutic yoga. So we have brought yoga to cancer patients, learning from our students, because when people have brain cancer, for example, a normal person developing loss of balance, complete loss of balance, they can also do yoga. Can they enjoy the yoga for 1.5 hours? So this is what we have developed. People develop neuropathy, sensations or loss of sensation at the, on the toes and the fingers. If they don't have good balance, they cannot do a regular gym-based or yoga studio-based yoga classes.
So how do we screen this thing out? I think that what you are raising a very interesting point, and this could be a big risk for the people who are really not familiar with this, type of diseases and yoga. So how do you, like you used a very interesting term, therapeutic yoga. Are people familiar with this type of terms in the market?
It is something new happening. And I even take it to the next level called medicinal yoga. It's not even just therapeutic, but even medicinal value of the yoga. So it's awareness is growing slowly as we are working with more and more people. The yoga studio teachers are learning about it. They're going for more trainings. They're trying to understand more modality. But what a doctor or a pharmacist or a nurse knows, it'll take longer time, quite a while, for the yoga teachers to really grasp the complete understanding of how to work with a person who is going through a diagnosis.
Okay. Now, two more questions for you. One is related with yoga caps. So if you can just briefly summarize that what yoga caps does, what are the main activities, and then also you are founder of RX Relax. So tell us a little bit about that as well.
Okay. So yoga caps is a karma yoga project. Now karma yoga is doing an action without expecting anything in return. So we know about that. It seems very easy, but it's very complicated.
Yes, it is.
Because we are trained in our brains in a different way. So
the first question comes to mind that, why should I work if there is no expectation?
Right. Well, I have an answer for that. I think came from my own experience, because to every action there is an equal and opposite reaction. That's a Newton's law.
Okay.
But when you come to the energy level, the Einstein level, when you come to the consciousness level, quantum physics level, the rewards can be multiplied. So what we were doing out of goodness of our heart, or whatever you call it, as karma yoga, the rewards which we have received are tremendous. They are not equal and opposite. They are multiplied million times and come back to us. So this is how we started, and we didn't have big strategic business plan. We just wanted to just one person at a time. That was the goal. And now it has grown to, many hospitals, thousands of people we have served. So as we talked about cancer patients, we have a program for them every day of the week. Then we have a program for veterans. And these veterans who are disabled veterans who live in the nursing home, in the VA hospital in Manchester, all of them are wheelchair bound. So when I started teaching, I was like, oh my God, now what do I skip and what do I add? What do I teach them? So now we do yoga together for about an hour, and it's joy of my life, and it brings joy to them as well.
So how you can do yoga on wheelchair and all that? Can you?
That's what we have been doing actually. We do, actually last 1 year or so, we have moved everything to wheelchair, to chair. For many, many different reasons. So we do all the body movements. We move every muscle, every joint of the body. Okay. We work with the breath, and we harness the power of withdrawal, the pratyahara, dharana practices. So we are kind of navigating, moving away from just the asana, and we are adding the deeper dimensions of yoga into it, which makes it very powerful, energizing, and relaxing for people.
Excellent. What about RX Relax?
So RX Relax is the project in which we are trying to bring yoga into the healthcare system as a medicine. We talk about healthcare system. I feel my colleagues in healthcare profession, they're all stressed out, and we are all getting sick. The system is really very stressful. So I go enthusiastically, but we are not looking at how much difference I'm making in people's life. For me, the goal is how many prescriptions I'm doing.
Mm-hmm.
Not 100% like that. We have wellness initiatives. We are doing a lot of work to help people at different levels with their medication management as well. So RxLex is actually, goal is to empower people, including healthcare professionals, to become more healthy.
Mm-hmm.
And therapeutic lifestyle change is a big thing which we are talking about in healthcare system now. But how do we really accomplish it?
Mm-hmm.
And yoga works with the mind, yoga works with the neuroplasticity, and we use that science to make that change in a person's life so they can become healthier. And if they become healthier, we have a certification program actually for healthcare professionals at Elliott Hospital right now, and we're working with other hospitals to bring it there. So if they become healthy, it will help them bringing integrative healthcare into their own practice as well.
Now, do you either yoga caps or RX Relax, do you also train yoga teachers? Do you have any program for them? Or?
We do. So we teach in different training programs.
Okay.
In our New England area, but the program which we have designed personally is specifically right now for healthcare professionals.
Mm-hmm.
I believe yoga is for everybody, and a lot of our friends have been asking like, okay, create a training program for me.
Sure.
So everybody would like to learn about it. But personally, I feel my role, as in the beginning you said I'm pioneer. I'm not pioneer of yoga in New England. We have Sudhir Bhai here who has been teaching yoga for a long time.
But I meant to say that you really have brought it on the forefront.
I am bringing it mostly, I think, in the healthcare area.
Sure.
That's, I think, my role as a pharmacist. So
Yeah.
I call it a blockbuster medicine of future.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, whatever blockbuster medicine comes, it comes with a big price tag.
Mm-hmm.
This is going to be empowering for people. It is going to be highly motivating for people to become healthier, and it's just going to be life-changing for everybody.
Yes.
And the results are so amazing. We actually have a breast surgeon on our faculty. We have 2 MDs on our faculty. We have a physical therapist. We have a nurse, a social worker, and a pharmacist. And when we come together and we bring what yoga has done to people, it's just amazing. High blood pressure. We have 6 different categories of medications, and I have 6 different categories of yoga practices which can work like medicine, and I have not seen anybody who has done consistently yoga with us and their blood pressure has not come back to normal. Mm-hmm. Mine was like last time I went to a doctor's office, it was 89 was my systolic, which is a higher number. Mm-hmm. And nurse had to check it again she thought she made a mistake. Mm-hmm. But a lot of people who do yoga, if you're relaxed and your blood vessels are flexible, right? Your circulation is good, your heart is healthier. There's no reason people have a high blood pressure. Mm-hmm. So that's why I feel like it's a blockbuster medicine of near future.
Now, in the earlier segment, when you were talking, you mentioned that you met your wife through yoga, and then you married her. So, what is her role into this? What do you do?
Actually, her role is that she does all the work and I do all the talking.
Okay, that's a very big role for her to play.
She does almost everything. There's a lot of administrative work, which I did not realize when you run a non-profit. There's so much work. Even when a person calls to register for the yoga class, to prepare them mentally. Because most people, when they call us, I would like to do yoga, but I don't think I can. Mm-hmm. So majority of the people who call us, they have never done yoga in their lives, or they have done yoga and they have hurt themselves. Mm-hmm. So they come with this taboo. They know it is good for them. It's a good medicine, but they're scared of the side effects. So just to mentally prepare them, okay, there's no need for special outfit. You don't need to bring a yoga mat. You don't need to do anything. Just come and have fun.
And what is her background like?
She's a social worker. She has masters in social work from BC. Mm-hmm. And she's very heart-centered. Mm-hmm. So she does everything from her heart. Mm-hmm. My mind works a lot, so I sometimes use that and I try to bring it, but I think...
Is she also a yoga practitioner?
Oh yes,
of course,
she's a yoga teacher. She has done advanced yoga training. Mm-hmm. Every year we try to go to India and study family time, but more than family time, we try to do a yoga training.
So where do you go to India? Delhi or?
We go different places. My Guruji is in Haridwar, so we spend some time with him. In Himachal, Haridwar, Rishikesh area, we spend some time. We go to Bihar School of Yoga, which is again, very close to our heart. And Nagendra ji, I have not been to his school, but he has come here a couple of times, stayed with us in our house as well, and he is also, he's a big researcher
Sure.
with yoga.
Sure. And then I know that we have done we do our health expos, and you guys have been very a part of that, and we are looking forward to your contribution this time again. And earlier, off the camera, we were talking about that. You said that you might start the event with some of your yoga teachings and things like that. So, can you talk a little about what is in your mind? It is just pure
For the
talk,
Health
right?
Expo?
Yes, for the health expo.
Well, we can start the day or any event, we start with yoga, and that too, which is very simple and very effective. Relaxing the mind, energizing the body. If we can do that, the whole day is beautiful. So it's not just for an event,
Sure.
but any day can
Okay.
be made different. We can take some charge of the day and make it better for us.
Okay. Yeah, thank you very much for coming, and it was really a pleasure talking with
Same
you.
here. Thank
Really
you.
enjoyed it. Yes. Well, next